Welcome to Living the Empowered Life. My name is Yvonne, and this channel is all about bringing you content that's empowering, encouraging and inspiring. So if this is the type of content you're looking for, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new uploads. And if you like the content, hit the thumbs up button. So today I want to share with you in this video 5 courageous things I did in my 40s. Yes, I'm in my 40s, and life, they say, does begin at 40. And I was inspired to do this video because I was scrolling through social media and I saw that a lot of older people were talking about things that they wish they had done when they were younger. And I thought this was something totally worth talking about, because for a lot of people it seems that as they get older in age, this defines what they can and can't do. And I'm somebody that started a lot of the things that I wanted to do much later in life, just because of, childhood trauma and different things I had to deal with in the aftermath of that. My life really started to go in the direction that I wanted it to go, probably at the age of 35 years old. I'm now 44 years old, and I've been able to pack in so much in my later years. And I want to share that with you today because I do feel that's important. If you're somebody who's watching this channel as an older person, looking for inspiration, looking for encouragement, looking for something in your life to change but feeling that it can't because of your age, I want to show you through sharing my experiences that it can. So the first thing on my list of 5 courageous things I did in my 40s was to leave my secure job. And I say secure job because if we're looking at the whole kind of landscape now with the coronavirus pandemic and how that's affected millions of lives, with companies just suddenly closing, going bankrupt, people being made redundant, it has shown a lot of people that nothing in life is secure. But at the time when I left my secure job, it was a huge deal. It was something that I mulled over for about 18 months. And it's something that I wrote about in my new book, which is going to be released later this year. And I will reveal that all to you a bit later on. At the time when I left my job, I was totally scared because I left to set up my empowerment company, Yimmy Empowerment, which facilitates positive life change through resources and services. I had the self-belief to know that, I could make it work, but I'd never run a business. I didn't know how to put it all together. And if I'm being honest with you, it's nearly 3 years later, on April the 2nd, since I stepped out of my secure job, and I still don't have it all together. But I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship and setting up your own company. It's also, one of the things that comes with going into the unknown. You have to figure out things, sometimes day by day, even though you might have a large vision of the things you want to do. But yeah, it was totally scary. And even with the coronavirus pandemic, I still don't regret stepping out and leaving my secure job. Yes, of course, financially it's hard at times, but nothing in life is promised. Sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone and just go for it. The second courageous thing I did in my 40s was to start a podcast. But one of the very first things I shared in the first episode of my podcast, Living the Empowered Life, is that to start my podcast, it was 3 years in the making. Back in 2017, I was supposed to start it, but I lacked confidence. I didn't have the courage to do it. But I think one of the good things that came through, being in this pandemic lockdown, is that it forced me to have courage to do a lot of things. So November 30th last year, I launched my podcast. I edit it. I do everything myself to do with it. I taught myself all that I needed to do to launch it. And, I'm now 7 episodes in. Obviously, with everything in time, you get better, you develop and stuff. But that is one of the most important things I think that I have learned from the whole process, is that you just have to start. And that is what I did. I thoroughly enjoy podcasting. I like being able to give voice to some of my experiences to empower and help other people. So if that's something, again, if you're interested in that, you can see snippets of it on my YouTube channel. The third courageous thing I did in my 40s was to fly across the world to a place I'd never been to host an event for people I didn't know. Basically, I was asked by a total stranger to come and do an event in California, USA. Never been there before. And the event was to empower survivors of childhood sexual abuse. This to me was so scary. It caused a lot of sleepless nights for me. I only got through it with the power of God, through prayer, through support, of a couple of really good friends. And I just had to have faith and go forward. It was the most scariest, exhilarating thing that I've ever done in my life. And it was totally eye-opening to me. I really had to trust God to guide and lead me in everything that I did. And the result of stepping out and just going forward, not knowing anybody on the other side of the world, not having all the resources I needed, but just going for it anyway, taught me a lot about myself, really helped me to understand fully what type of person I was. And that is that I am a risk taker, and that I am somebody who's looking to live an empowered life and have an adventure. But it didn't have the result it was supposed to have, not lots of tickets sold. The person that asked me to come over to California suddenly pulled out. So I was left to put together an international event by myself. It was really tricky, it was really hard, but I pulled it off. Would I do it again? Of course I would. If I felt led to do it again, I would do it again. It's something that actually I hope will happen again, because I totally love the experience of just stepping out in faith, trusting God, and just going for it. The next courageous thing I want to share with you that's on my list is that I did a TED Talk. Now, back in 2013, this is something that I thought I just couldn't do. I was fairly confident because I had done public speaking before, but not a TED Talk. And when I watched TED Talks, I was immediately intimidated by it, just because, the people who did TED Talks seemed so knowledgeable, so confident in their speaking. And somebody at the time in 2013 said to me, after they read one of my books, that I should do a TED Talk on this subject. But I completely shut them down at the time, because I was like, there's just no way. I didn't feel I was adequate enough to do that. But, fast forward 4 years later, an opportunity came to me that I could do a TED Talk. I auditioned, I put together, just a short summary of what I wanted to do a talk about. I did an audition, and lo and behold, I was then invited to do a TED Talk. Now, when I did the TED Talk, it was the most scariest thing I had ever done. And I think you'll probably see a pattern when I'm talking about these things that I'm sharing with you that are courageous things that I've done, that I was totally scared at the time. But, I did it, and it went amazingly well. It was on the subject of empowering survivors of childhood sexual abuse. At the moment, I think it's on about 35,000 views on YouTube. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. The feedback that I got was so encouraging. People felt really empowered by my talk. Leading up to the TED Talk anyway, it was a lot of hard work. I had to put in a lot of practice. I had to, practice for 6 weeks my talk. I had to deliver it within a certain amount of time, but it was totally worth doing. And if I had that experience again to do another TED Talk on something different, then I would do it. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was an amazing experience, and it's something that I will always cherish. So the last thing I want to share with you on my list of 5 courageous things I've done in my 40s is that I've wrote my first book of a different genre. Now, this has been quite a journey for me. My writing journey has been one of transition, has been one of, leaps and bounds. From my very first book, Daughter Arise, which was my autobiography about my childhood and my life up until that point, to my next book, which is called Choose Life, which was an educational, practical empowerment workbook for survivors of abuse. This third book, again, is another jump in a different direction. It's about now focusing on empowerment. So slowly coming away from all those things and talking to people in my book about what a journey of risk, faith, and courage looks like. I'm totally excited about this book. Again, during the lockdown, I was able to just finish it. I've just finished putting everything together, and that is going to get ready to go to print sometime later this year. I am nervous about it. I do feel a bit scared about it because I'm still developing as a writer, and I'm hoping that I will get a good reception from what I've wrote, because what I do try and do when I do write my books is to write from the heart. I write from my experiences, hoping that, in some way they will bring value to people's lives. So that was my list of 5 courageous things I did in my 40s. If you're somebody in the later years of your life, I want to encourage you to dust the dust off your dreams, off the things that you wanted to do but feel that you couldn't, I would say to you to go for it. If you need a courageous plan of action, check out my Courage course. This is a course that I've put together to help people to go after their goals, dreams and aims, because I know how hard it can be, especially if you don't have anybody around you who's doing the things that you're doing. You don't have anybody around you to encourage you, to still go for it. I understand all that. I had to be somebody who was self-motivated to encourage myself. So this is something you can check out. I'll leave a link for it in the description box below. But do go after your goals and dreams. Don't look back with regrets. That's the last thing that you want to do. If you have done something courageous later in life, drop a comment below and let me know what it is. I would love to hear from you. So until the next video, take care.